Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Tamara, and we're here today to review another book, but not just any book. We are finally diving into the Throne of Glass series. I know, how have I not read these? We're here today to start. I, for full transparency, have been recommended this book and this series many a times, but I decided at the time when I could invest in a long-term series, would it be this or would it be Zodiac Academy? I did read Zodiac Academy first, finished it, and now enough time has passed where now I'm wondering and curious what all the hype is about for the Throne of Glass series. I have read ACOTAR. So that's the only thing I've read by this author. I have not read Crescent City. I think there's a trilogy or something like that. Haven't done that. Maybe we'll do that after, but I know that this book has, well, there's a couple books under the series. So we're starting this today, and meaning these reviews and this journey. I did read this yesterday and I slept on it to get all my thoughts together so we could talk about it today. And I already have the second one. So we may be flying through this. I don't know, but I'm not gonna lie, I really did enjoy this book. So I can only imagine how I'm gonna ignore my husband for the next little while because I'm gonna be so obsessed. I'm gonna be so obsessed, and I'm so sorry, but I'm not sorry because I love when I'm into things like this because that just gives such a, I don't know, it holds such high praise to me when someone can immerse you so deeply into something like books, TV, movies, and then you just like fall in it, and that's your world, and that I'm excited to dive into something that does such a good job to do that. So first and foremost, this is a spoiler talk, so if you haven't read the book and you don't want to be spoiled or whatnot, then leave, come back. If you care to be spoiled, then that's fine too. So we're gonna talk Throne of Glass, and right off the hop, I know that she, being the author, I think this is one of her very first publications. Like, she started this series really young and then continued after the success of ACOTAR and extended this book series per se. And I'll be honest, I would have no idea that she was that young and wrote it because I genuinely thought this was pretty well written in general, but I have to give a lot of credit to this book in the sense that the content of romantasy and fantasy, let's even just say fantasy. I feel like a lot of books these days are about fays versus mortals, about maybe some vampires or some werewolves or something like in the fantasy scope. Not saying that's bad, obviously it's not, but it's also been done before. So for a series as long as this one is, I was really skeptical and curious how the first book's going to kick us off to make itself different than the others in terms of this world and worlds that are similar to this, because it's a hard thing to do. There's a lot of content out there that fall within that scope, and I have to give this book such good credit because it really did differentiate itself, and I am in it. I'm already on the cusp of obsession, truly, because I feel like this book was catered to have not many flaws, and that scares me for the next couple because then I'm like, you can't all be perfect, so there has to be some problems, you would think. And I did hear this series slows down at some point, so maybe that's where I'm going to find the problems. I don't know, but let's talk this book. I'm sorry I'm getting distracted. So right away, this book, the character development and the world building are huge components in this book, and I loved it. I loved how it was done. I loved how it was paced, specifically with the world building here. Like, as we mentioned, this is a spoiler talk, so right off the back, our main FMC starts off like she has a big reputation. She's already a well-known assassin. She was betrayed. She was captured. She was broken many of times, pretty much, in the mines, being a slave to another kingdom. And then the prince of that kingdom offers her a deal saying that if you serve my father, who's the king, as a spy and do his bidding on the back end, do all like the real dirty work, then we'll give you your freedom in 4 years. And in order to do that, she has to make face and compete in some competition to win this title as the champion for the king. And that's essentially like the gist in the loosest sense as to where this book really takes us. Now, this FMC in general, I feel like there's nothing that you could not like about this FMC. And that's kind of hard to do. So again, big credit for this book. And I don't think I actually mentioned this, but I've given this book a 4 out of 5. And the only reason I gave it a 4 out of 5 instead of a 5 out of 5 is because I have to leave room for surprise and anticipation. I'm sorry, it's too early. This is book 1. Like I can't give it a 5 right away, even though part of me really wanted to. But anyways, we digress. Going back to the main character, she is one of those kind of characters that it's not the kind of journey where she's weaker, she develops her strength throughout the journey. I fully anticipate there's more strength to be developed, don't get me wrong, but this girl already knows she's the best. She already knows she's the best assassin. She's been broken, she's been molded, she's been literally created to be an image of this assassin that doesn't lose, and she's stealthy, and like I said, she's been broken. Like she has a backstory that's traumatic, and they feed it to us slowly in this book to really keep you intrigued and interested in this character development for our FMC specifically. And I loved it how they paced this in general for her character. But one of the things that I feel like I'm in awe with this character, she obviously comes from hardship. She was molded to be a weapon, and normally characters like that are almost like immune to emotion, or they don't care about people. They kind of like lose faith in society. Like they're pretty broody, moody, and rightfully so. Like they've been broken time and time again. What choice of happiness do they really have? But she is so different than that. Like she is witty, she's funny, she has so much hope in the world, and she's like so passionate about slavery. And obviously she was partially a slave at the beginning of this that they alluded to, but this girl has so much heart for someone who also has so many skills. And it's one of those things that you can't not like her, because she genuinely like wants the best. She's not afraid to go for it. And then plus she has all the skills to back it up. So she's almost to a sense unbeatable, but she isn't, obviously. Like she has like some soft-spoken nature to her on the back end anyway, but it's not that hidden because she's just so likable and witty and spunky. And I just feel like those kind of characters there's nothing they could do wrong to me to not love them, because they're just, that character set up so great that all I want is for them to be happy right off the bat, which is why I know I'm going to start getting even more obsessed if she's our main lead that we follow, because they've already set her up so well. Like so well. And even like there's a sense of innocence with her, because a part of the book there was reference to like she's young, she's like 19 years old and was a slave since she was 17 because she was in the mines for 2 years, but they alluded to how she was molded into an assassin anyway. But then because of that, there was some seemingly connection with like maybe a past love interest who has died, and she doesn't have many roots to go back to based on where she's from. It's just essentially her. So she's a little bit alone, but they kind of make reference to maybe she's also like a virgin in this because of the innocence. And at first I thought, I don't think so. I just feel like she's just, private and hasn't really divulged more so into her intimate background, into who really. She developed maybe like one key friend besides our 2 males who were always glued to her hip. But besides them, but then when I hear her like talking about kissing the prince, which they kind of have a back and forth flirtation, whatever, in this book, but she's also just like so innocent about how like, oh, she doesn't think kissing him is bad. Like there's no spice to it, which makes me now also question the innocence that maybe she is a virgin, which is completely fine. It was just one of those things that if that is true, then that's even more creatively crafted for a FMC. Like she has the innocence, she has the brute, the confidence, the skill, and the heart to carry on good deeds and believe in a positive future. And I just feel like, again, you can't go wrong with someone like that. So I'm incredibly interested in her journey and her story, and I hope it's always her we follow, because I'm already obsessed. And she, even at the very end, she gains the championship title. She does, but then like she instantly stopped whatever was going on with the prince romantically, because she was like, no, like now I actually have a formal title, like I am honorable and not loyal per se, but she takes her duty really seriously, which has like, that assassin, like her career is important to her. And it's also a great quality. to have in someone. So I'm just, again, she amazes me throughout this entire journey, truly, and I love it. They obviously, I keep mentioning there's a prince, so there is some like romantic interest with him throughout the journey, but there's also reference to his own character development, how much he's not as ambitious or chooses to really like side with his father and the choices that his father's been making to try and like dominate their world, and he doesn't believe in that. He also is kind-hearted and wants people to not die for stupid reasons. Like he is, you know, affectionate in ways. He just needs the backbone to stand up for what he believes in, and through the affiliation of her, maybe, and continuously through her, maybe he'll find that strength to do that. So as a character, he was also really interesting, and they had a lot of good banter, so it was really fun and witty. Loved that. There is another character who's the captain of the guard, and I feel like I'm always going to mispronounce his name, because when I sound it out, it sounds kind of stupid. It's like Chol? Kale? I don't know, but the captain of the guard also has a bickering relationship with our FMC, almost like in a respect way, that he was really, you know, guards up with her. He knows her skills. He knows what she's capable of. He knows that she would owe this kingdom absolutely no loyalty, because they are partially responsible for destroying her own home. So like, why would she care? Why would she be so open to like molding into their world if it's, but her freedom is everything. And essentially, to a warrior similar to him being captain of the guard, he understands that. And so they have a really interesting, almost like friends, like respect relationship, but I feel like they're also teasing that like they have a love for each other that may be exploited romantically or not. I don't know, but I think it's really interesting. Those are kind of our three main faces, besides also our friend that we gain, who's a princess from a world that is more so similar to what our FMC grew up with. And so like they kicked it off right away, and they've been having a great time getting to know each other. And that girl's really nice too. She had a lot of secrets throughout this book already. Like there was not just like the world development and the character development right away off of book one, but there was an underlying like mystery of some of the people that were in the tournament with our FMC were getting killed off. We were trying to figure out who did it, what's the power shift, and like we were learning a little bit more about the world through that investigation in a sense too, which was nice. It was a good pace and kind of like a side quest, but it was still really interesting. The trials and whatnot of this long tournament that outlined throughout this book was also interesting, and it really reminded me of the Blood of Hercules book in a way, just because like there were trials, there were tests, and then slowly people were getting killed off, and it was a mystery too. So it reminded me a little bit of it, but also it was brutal. There was literally an animal eating organs and taking out brains in this book too, similar to Blood of Hercules, because it's Spartacus, so you know. But regardless, it was really, there was a lot going on in this book that I really enjoyed. Like side plots, like main plots, it didn't matter. I was really into it, and they really set this up to now divulge a little more as to like her bigger role. She seems to think that she is, you know, she did what she was meant to do in this book, and now she can just like do side missions for the king, and that will be it. But obviously that can't be it, and so they closed it off really nicely, but they opened up so many doors to so many other things that can happen. So I'm really excited to read what she goes through and those relationships that forge through this job that now she's been given, and how those work, and where her place is with like the king's role, because the king seems to not necessarily have the biggest moral compass, and she does. So I feel like they're gonna bicker, and then the prince is gonna get involved, and we're gonna see him step up. So I don't know, I'm incredibly excited. I am. And one thing I thought was really fascinating in this is they did mention that like fae have become almost like extinct, went into hiding, were killed. Any use of magic is considered treason, it sounds like. So that politic background there is fascinating to me. And I know, and she alluded to the fact that she does have magic in her, but it was suppressed at an early age because of all of this. So I'm really looking forward to her coming into her fae abilities that clearly are a thing, but we just don't know yet. But anywho, I've chatted your ear off. This is probably one of the longest reviews I've done, and it's just because there's so much potential, and I'm so excited. 4 to 5, loved it. Let's read the next one. We already have it, so maybe you'll hear from me in 2 days. I don't know, but we're in it, guys.